Hey bunnies, and welcome back to Woodland Bunny, our cozy space to talk about books. So this is going to be a home library project renovation type video. I'm not really going to be doing much renovation, just more cultivating my dream home library. So if you are new or you didn't know, I do enjoy reading quite widely. I own a lot of different genres of books. And I am an autistic, like, type A, very organized person. Like, I need things in certain ways. And also books are my special interest. I have been reading since I could learn to read, and then became like more of like an avid reader in the later years of high school. I was always like top of my reading group in primary school and loved to be there because then I could pick out the book for my sort of little group that I was in. In high school as well, I joined a lot of extracurricular book clubs, which I had so much fun. So like the Carnegie Award medal book, like I was in like a book club in school that read those books and had so much fun doing that. And then discovered YA in kind of like year 11, year 10, year 11 in high school. So I think that would like probably since obviously I could start reading, but then since around the age of like 11, I'd say I've been a very thorough reader and books have become my special interest. So all this to say, I've been collecting books since about then. So yeah, there's been like over 10 years now, obviously, worth of book collecting, and my tastes have grown, my tastes have changed, obviously. But it does mean that I have quite a large home library, and I buy a lot of my books secondhand as well, which means I can afford to buy more books rather than obviously buying new books and buying less. Anyway, all that to say that I have had an idea since moving into our space here to cultivate my home dream library since we have the space now, and my partner is very much on board, which I'm very grateful about. So kind of like this lounge area is my space for my books, and it's like my safe haven. We have a study upstairs, which is our second bedroom, in which I have a little corner in which I have like a bookshelf with a lamp on top there, and then like I've got a few books dotted around the rest of the house, like some cookbooks in the kitchen. So anyway, I have decided that I am going to be moving things around and reorganizing things to put things into their place and genre. So if I show you the current state and then my plans, and yeah, and then this video is basically going to be actioning that and you coming along with me on that adventure to create my home dream library. So grab yourself your most warm hot drink, a cozy blanket, and let's go ahead with this project renovation. Here is Cookie, also known, her name is actually Coco, one of the resident cats within the library. Okay, so we have my desk here, which is also got like a bookshelf in, which doesn't hold any books at the minute because my desk is quite messy. And then padding along here, this shelf here holds my bookmarks and sits right next to my desk. Also backs onto my sofa that I read on. And so this bookshelf here is going to hold all of my new in books. So any books I buy, I'm going to pop straight onto here. So I've actually read these too, but they are my art books and I don't have a space for my art books yet. So that's why they are there. And then I used to have that big bookshelf this side of the television, in which I'm going to get another one of those and put that here. And the plan is to get one here and put all of my special edition books on this shelf. So I was subscribed to Fairyleaf for a couple of years, Illumicrate for a couple of years. I've been gifted some special editions over the years, and so I have accumulated a few special editions. So I'm going to get a shelf and put some special editions there. I've also got like some, for example, my Pride and Prejudice editions from charity shops, which I classify as special editions, which will go on there. And then this shelf here, I'm going to plan to make it my favourite shelf. So all of my favourite books of all time will then sit on this shelf here. I currently have this like small shelf here, which I don't really know what I'm going to do with. At the minute, these are duplicate copies that I've been like given, or someone's gifted me, or I've accidentally bought a couple copies of, because I didn't really know what was in my library. But anyway, ignoring that. And then moving on to the wall of bookcases. So the plan is here is we have that bigger shelf at the end, and then these. I'm planning to do lit fic, in which obviously includes like weird lit fic, as well as just general literary fiction, romance, translated cozy fiction, and then fantasy standalones, crime and thrillers, and murder mysteries, all along this wall here. I'm really getting into golden age crime. So for example, like I've got a lot of the crime classics from the British Library. My Agatha Christie selection is growing humongously, which I adore because she is one of my all-time favorite authors, but that will probably end up on the favorite shelf. So yeah, that's growing quite a lot, so I want like a section for that, and that's going to be what's along here. And now if I take you around the back of the sofa, ignore my jigsaw puzzle and ignore these because I've just been building a bookshelf that's arrived. This currently holds some of my classics, and the plan is my boyfriend bought me for my birthday this bookshelf, in which you can see is different to these ones. So the plan is to get another 3 of that one and put those along here, and then like I've done with the one behind the sofa, put these 3 along the back of the sofa here like this one, so then all of those match, and then all of those will match along there. And then what the plan is I will have classics along here, and perhaps non-fiction and poetry along here as well as my nature books and nature writing. And then what will stay here is the manga and graphic novel section, and then along here it will be fantasy series, I think, is what is going to happen. It might end up being fantasy series and then poetry selection if it doesn't all fit along the back of the sofa, but obviously I'll see when it comes to that. And so I am growing my art book, so I'm planning to buy one of those like children's books which have like the display case there to put my art book. So I think I'm going to put those upstairs, but I can't really decide. I might put them down here. I'm not quite sure. Obviously this is all like a theoretical plan, but yeah, that's basically like the plan so far. That's the main gist of it, and that is what I'm planning to do. So I'm actually just about to order those 3 smaller bookcases like I just said, and then it is my birthday coming up in a week. This is the 18th of August when I'm filming this, so my birthday is exactly a week today on the 25th, and I think I'm gonna get some birthday money from my grandparents, so I think I'm gonna use that to buy another one of those shelves, and yeah, and then buy one of the children's bookshelf as well with my birthday money. So yeah, that is the plan so far, and that is the current situation. All my books are a bit of a mess at the minute. I also have my books split between TBR and Red Books because I was doing like a series where I read 20 and was allowed to buy 1. It was very restrictive. I kind of did a whole video on my thoughts of over consumerism, why I ended up doing that challenge, why I've ended up quitting that challenge, a rambly video in which a lot of you in the comments helped me realise why I started this in the first place, like why I am a reader, why I love books, and that I just kind of overthought everything, as I usually do, chronic overthinker. So yeah, that's the plan, and I will update you when I next have a little bit of an update. I will also show you the current setup in the study, which that's predominantly my boyfriend's like area where he has all of his bits and bobs, like his special interests, his gaming setup, but I have a little corner which it has a sofa and a footrest, and then a bookshelf with a light and a small bookshelf, which I think, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put on there. It might be like books that I'm eager to read, not 100% certain, but yeah, I will get to it when it comes to it, when I see how much space I have, how many books I have, and what fits where. But yeah, the plan is to kind of get things organised and allow everything to have its space, because that's just how my brain works. And I feel like when it doesn't work like that and it's all messy like it is currently, it really unmotivates me to read because I don't know where anything is. So yeah, I'll update you when I next have an update. Hello friends, so I'm absolutely exhausted because I just built those 3 bookshelves, those smaller ones, down the side of the window. Then I put the other ones down the back of the sofa now. So now I'm just in the process of reorganising my shelves slightly. I've decided that the ones by the window are going to hold all of my all of my series fantasy. So any books I have that are already in a series, I'm going to put on there. I do have some series fantasy that is going to remain on here, just purely because I only have the first book in the series. So when I then buy the second book or like whatever installment next, then I'll move on to that shelf, despite it actually being part of a series, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I'm just currently in the process of doing that. So then these shelves behind me are going to be a bit disrupted. And yeah, put that all together. I think that's what makes most sense in my head at the minute. Otherwise, I'll have loads of just first books in a series on my series shelf. And yeah, I just feel like it will encourage me to read the sequels more if I have them on the shelf with the Sanderling fantasy, because then I can move them over once I get to the second book. So that's what my plan is currently. Friends, I have basically taken the whole day to do this, but I feel like I'm finished now. I want to give you like a brief tour. I have so much more shelf space, which I'm so excited about. I'm just a bit like, I don't really know what to do about a certain aspect of this, but let me just show you and I'll talk you through all my thoughts. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it's come out so far. Okay, so starting here, we have this shelf here in which holds all of my favourite books of all time, so like my favourite, and then this is like my Agatha Christie shelf. So not every Agatha Christie was like a favourite of all time, but because she is a favourite author and a comfort author, she's got a shelf. And then yeah, all the rest of these books on here are books that like when I stare at this shelf, like it makes me happy and smile. And I feel like this is just going to be a shelf that will be added to obviously like over time. And yeah, and then this shelf here is kind of just bits which I have duplicate copies of, like just over time have accumulated somehow, and it's kind of like a temporary measure at the minute. The one thing which I'm not quite sure what to do with is, excuse the birthday cards, here I've got like big reference books, and I kind of wanted to put them on the shelves behind the sofa, but there's just not enough space, so I'll see what I can do with those. And then moving around to the big wall of shelves, first of all we have this shelf here which holds all romances, and then more romances, and then it kind of like bleeds into fantasy, and then you've got like more fantasy going down, and then like more fantasy, and this is a mix of like fantasy, romance, and just like high fantasy, like general fantasy, kind of like woven in here, more fantasy, and then it kind of like merges into lit fic. This is like my all like weird lit fic section there, and then kind of it's translated like cozy fiction is there, and then just like general lit fic like being merged in there, and same here. And then obviously there's like more space to expand this whole kind of collection around here. And then if I walk you around the back of these here, and there, so these are the ones that I built today. I built 3 of them, built one of them the other day. Over there, these shelves hold my series fantasy. So I've got like a little gap there. So these are all books that I own in the series. So like on some of the other series shelves, there's just like the first book, but I don't own the second book, so it hasn't made it onto this shelf. And then here has a mix. So we kind of have my historical fiction here blending into like golden age crime a little bit, or like kind of like historical crime is how I've kind of dubbed it in my head. And then just like a mishmash of crime, thriller, mystery, horror is like woven in here, and with like a shelf free. And then along the back of the sofa is where I've gained the most shelf space. So here we have the classics, and I want to make this like a poetry merged with classics. Another shelf, as you can see, it's a free shelf at the minute apart from a few titles. And then I've got like my reference books and my non-fiction books here, and as you can see, I've gained 3 shelves here, which is great. But obviously those books, sorry about the mess, but those books there don't fit on here. But yeah, so I'm really, I've got my bird reference guide here, which I like looking through. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it's kind of like all turned out. It's taken a really long time, and that's ᴍᴇ괱ᴗ, and a really long process, but I'm really happy with it, how it's like turned out, and I've definitely got space to grow. I've also got that shelf over there, in which is going to hold my new in books, and that sits like right next to my desk. So I definitely have space to grow my collection, and yeah, I'm feeling quite happy with the categories. I think the one thing that I'm just being mindful of is that when I do obviously buy a book, like in the fantasy section, let's say, I will then need to like rejig it so then I can like push it along. But also if I just get too lazy and end up just shoving it in a free space. But yeah, so I'm really happy with how it's all turned out and the growth of my collection. I'm still planning to get a children's bookshelf in order to hold my art books, because a lot of like children's bookshelves like hold picture books for children, and so that would be quite good for like my art books. So that's my plan for that as well. But yeah, for the meantime, I'm feeling quite happy about it, so I'll probably check in when I next get that children picture book art shelf, or when I next do something with this home library. But I've really enjoyed kind of cultivating this so far. Hello friends, so I hope the lighting isn't too terrible. It's currently, the sun is setting. I wanted to update you because I said I would next update when I get a children's bookcase for my art books. Well, I have in fact changed that plan. So the downstairs area of the library is all completely the same. However, I've decided to expand the library into other areas of the house. In our study room, which is like our spare room, which a lot of my boyfriend's possessions are, and that's kind of like his area, I've got now a sofa, and in the corner I also have a bookshelf with a lamp on and an empty bookcase by the side of that sofa, which those are yet to be filled. And then also, as you can see behind me, I decided to repurpose the shelf we already were using for something else, do a bit of reorganisation, and use this shelf here and put it in the bedroom for my art book. So that's exactly what I've done here. So you don't have very many art books, but I thought I'd just show you. It's quite dark because, as I said, the sun is setting, but it's in the corner right next to a scratch post. Ignore this bundled up shirt here, I need to put this away. I have my manuscripts of Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, in which my boyfriend kindly gifted to me for my birthday last year now, I think it was. I have a few book sleeves and kind of like bookish covers here, like a little lantern and fake plant, and then here is where the art books shall be expanding to and are currently situated. This isn't an art book, this is technically a manga, but I just can't fit it anywhere else. And same with Wind of the Willows, but this is just the illustrated version. So it's kind of like a loose term for art books. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it's turned out in this little corner of the bedroom. Friends, it is now a few weeks later, and as you can see from the background, the library has changed again a little bit. I had an idea to kind of create this blocked off area in which could be my dedicated reading space, and because it's now getting into winter, I needed to bring the egg chair inside so it wouldn't get damaged or destroyed outside during the cold months and the winter season. So that's exactly what I've done, and decided to create like a reading space surrounding it. So I'm going to show you now. It's not finished, but I hope you'll get the vision. So let me show you what I've done. Okay, so the egg chair is situated there next to these two bookshelves, which that bookshelf used to be the other side over there. And so now these are pushed around. I have my favourite shelf still over here, then like a dedicated Agatha Christie shelf with shelf space to play with. Then I have my books behind here, in which I know this is really big and large, but I can turn around in it to access the books. But it was the best place because look how big this thing is to put it. And then here is where we have the addition. So basically these two, one is going to go here and the one is going to go on the top here to create some sort of barrier. So it's kind of like a separated area where we have like the reading corner, and then over here we have just like general bookshelves, and then the bookshelves that you've seen previously that I've built along the back of the sofa and along the other wall. So yeah, that's mainly like the vision. So these at the minute are just sat there because we need to join them, but we need to get a tool to do that. And so yeah, I quite like the lighter colour, even though I do prefer dark wood, just because that shelf over there is like a lighter colour, and then also this shelf is a lighter colour, so it kind of just breaks up a little bit. And obviously I can't afford very expensive shelves either. So yeah, I'm really happy with the outcome. I will show you the final result once I get these built, but I just wanted to update this video and say that the library's gone through a little bit of a change and an update, so you can kind of see from here, but that will be blocked off and then that will have another one. And so yeah, and I'm going to get a lamp to go in there so then it has like more light because there's no windows this side. So that's the vision at the minute. I feel as though this video is never going to end because there has been another change to the kind of setup. I just want to make it as perfect as I can, like to me, but with still being a work in progress, because I know it's always a work in progress, but kind of just get the bare bones set up and then I can enjoy it and have fun with it, rather than like setting up half of it and then realizing actually I wanted these parts added in, etc, etc. So let me show you what I've done and what the plan is next. This video is going to go on for an absolute age, but yeah, I still got to order 2 more bookshelves and build 2 more bookshelves in, then move another couple of things around, and then I think in my mind that would mean it is complete. So let me show you what I've done so far, and then I'll show you my plans of what I'm going to do, and then the next time I'll probably check in is when I should have done said things. Okay, so you may or may not know, but these were like my original shelf from absolute years. I've had these, and I don't really like them. I don't really like the ladder shelves. I much prefer a bookcase, but I can't have IKEA shipped here because I live on an island and they just don't ship here. It's so much more expensive than anything else to even get a single bookcase. I'm having to get mine from Amazon because that's the only place that do them. And so yeah, these ones were originally from Next, but I don't really like them, but I don't want to waste them because I don't want to get rid of them because they're still in good condition. So my plan is I've already done it with this one, is put them either side of the television, here and here. And then what I'm going to do is order another 2 of these off Amazon and place them here and here. Then that one will move to the other side of the television. Then hopefully it'll be just a little bit more cohesive. I'll have my actual bookcases, which will be much more to my taste. These obviously still need to go up there and here to kind of like fit in and work. And then these are kind of like there. So they are different coloured woods, but I don't really mind it because it kind of like breaks up the different coloured woods, and you know, they're just kind of shelves at the end of the day. But yeah, it's just more about like how I enjoy like not having like these deep ladder shelves and just more actual bookcases. So that is the plan next, is to order 2 more of those to fit in here and then move that the other side, which means I will gain so much more shelf space as well, again, hopefully. And yeah, so I'll probably check in with you when I next am doing that. But yeah, so I'm going to keep these ladder shelves. I'm not going to get rid of them because I feel like it's just such a waste. And that's the plan. things have once again moved in the home library, and I feel so much more content with how it's now set out. So as you can see along these new bookcases, I have put all of my romance books, and then we have my sofa that I sit on. I also got a new rug, which just adds to the coziness for certain. And then you can see the kind of main area, I suppose. So I've got my egg chair still there, my favourite shelves behind it, and then, as I said, I was going to build some more of those bookshelves, and here we are. And this is the kind of final place, I would like to say. This is the final um thing. And yeah, so I've moved the shelf to the other side and love how it looks. I've gained so much more shelf space. Along the back behind my egg chair, I've got my fantasy, this mix between fantasy series and standalones, because it just didn't make much sense to break them up. And then behind the big ladder shelf of the egg chair, that is more space for fantasy. And then here along the cube shelves, we have my crime, mystery, thriller, and horror kind of woven in, and then a bookshelf spare for that as well. And then next to that, we have my lit fic selection, so that kind of hasn't really changed. And then behind the back of the sofa, we now have more filled out, but like my non-fiction selection, like I already had, then my nature books, and then also my classic books as well. I think I'm kind of happy with how that's set out. And then, like I say, I've got my manga now situated on the far shelf because I just like seeing it more. I feel like it's more open rather than in the other shelf. I've got the romance here with a few little space left as well. My Jellycat sat on top, and then I finally found a place for the reference books, which is that shelf, which is so deep, so it works perfectly. But yeah, I'm just really happy with how it's set out. So friends, because the final two showers have been built and have arrived, that makes the transformation complete. I'm sure I will do a lot of rejigging with the books, but for now I've given you a little brief tour, a little walkover as to what genres they're in, what areas they're in, but it means I've got so much more space now. And I feel like it's more of a cozy nook, whereas before it was just a wall of shelves, which I loved, but now it kind of feels like it's kind of divvied up into areas, and it feels like my dream home true library. Yeah, so I've got a whole bookshelf basically to play around with, this kind of like semi-empty bookshelf as well, so there is a lot more room to grow my collection, which is exactly what I wanted. But most of all is just to get that feeling, that ultimate home library feeling, which just makes me feel cozy and comforted when I look at this space, and it definitely does. So I'm so happy. This was such a long journey, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I'd love to know your thoughts on the transformation. Please, no negative thoughts, because I'm really happy with how it's turned out. And yeah, I hope that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you have a wonderful day or night. Until next time, friends. Bye.